Oh, are we live? I think we're live, world. What is going on, world? If we are live, if you can hear me and everything looks good, let me know in the comments section below there. But I believe we are live. And if you guys know, today is a hangout with the Hungarian. So last week we did this where I invited you guys into the chat. I invited you guys into the live stream actually to hang out with me. And I think I'm going to do this as like kind of a weekly show where we get to hang out. I'm going to do some work. I got some stuff going on here. We're going to review some past videos I just launched and look at some comments. But if there's anyone in the stream there, let me know if you can hear me and if you can see me well. All right, I think we're live. Okay, so yeah, again, hang out with the Hungarian. So I'm going to post the invite link into the comments here. If anyone wants to join, feel free. I'm going to throw that in there, but let's not be too crazy when we pop in. Last week, we had some amazing people popping in the chat. We had Hypnozygo and Mario from South Africa who joined and shared their experiences with magical mushrooms and just, following along my journey. And it was absolutely amazing. I want to do this weekly where I hang out with you guys. And I tried to step things up here a bit. So we got a new mic going on. I'm going from the actual like DSLR camera instead of just this webcam camera. So let me know if you guys like the little step up here. But yeah, what's going on, guys? How are you guys doing today? Having a good day? What do you guys think? I threw something up on my Instagram stories. Let's share the screen here. I said, my fate is in your hands, Instagram, and we'll leave it to you guys here on YouTube. But I think I've already we got enough votes. Should I cut and trim the beard myself, or should we keep it growing out for quarantine? This is definitely like the longest I've ever had this thing. Like, look at how crazy this is right now. But let me know what you guys think. Should I cut the beard? Should I keep it, cut it, or keep it? What do you guys think? Let me know on Instagram if you guys follow me on Instagram there. But I'd made a post there. I want to know what you guys think. So go let me know there or throw it in the comment section here. A6616AS says, don't do it, bro. Let it grow. Oh, let me pause this. Again, I'm still learning how to do all this properly. But yeah, actually, we had some votes come in from Instagram. I'll show you guys in a little bit here, but it was actually a pretty close race. And Silvino says cut it because you can see your jaw difference. Yeah, the jaws are size experiments. That's why I'm getting the guys in the house to do it. This has been a fun tool, but if you guys saw there, I got the guys in the house to do it. You can already see like they're like Shahir's jaw, like he's doing the Zoolander look, and it actually looks like it's working well. Let me just stop this here. But yeah, guys, what's going on? If anyone wants to come live with me, again, I'm going to share this link here. And today we're just going to hang out. If you see in the title of the chat of the live stream and the video here, we are going to discuss my extremely vivid dreams that I've been having since I stopped smoking weed for over 3 weeks now. But wow, it's absolutely crazy. Last night I had like two very intense vivid dreams, stronger than my psychedelic experiences for sure. And it was like, wow. Yeah, it was crazy stuff. So we'll go over that in a bit. Today I'm actually getting more legit here. Look, I have like topics of discussion all printed out, getting real legit here. We're also going to discuss how this kind of setup is a test for the upcoming human experiments that I'm doing. So basically, what I want to do is I want to hang out with you guys while we review other people's YouTube channels, people that I think are great human experiments. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Google Doc file, and we're going to sit there and like grade people on their on how well we believe that they are a human experiment out there for the world. So I'm going to give you guys access to to this Google Doc, and we're gonna watch people's YouTube channels live together, just kind of like how we're hanging out here. This is still, I'm just testing for it, but we're gonna sit here and review YouTube channels together. And then at the end, we're gonna say, like, are they a B, an A plus as a human experiment, or a B, or a C minus, or a D? And that's gonna help to create this network, to create a database of human experiments in the world, and try to justify why we need to be scientifically testing these people. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to review some YouTube comments. A great comment came in on the last ego video that I did, asking, how do we work on living in the present more? So I think that was a great question. We'll hop into that. And right now I'm actually working on a video called "Red Meat Causes Cancer," not backed by good science. Yeah, I dove into a whole bunch of different scientific research that shows that there's no good science out there showing that red meat causes cancer. And again, I believe this is another great reason to justify why we need human experiments in the world. When we look at that video and we look at some of the scientific research, they say that only 5% of nutrition studies are actually good studies. So when you think of all the different influencers that you follow out there, all the different people on social media saying, "Oh, you need to eat this in your diet because of this," or "You need to eat this," or, "Red meat's bad for you," or "Red meat's good for you. You need to go carnivore," or "You need to go vegan." Only 5% of scientific studies are actually good studies. So there's so much bad and weak studies out there in the world. And that's what I believe is part of my journey right now. I'm trying to challenge the narrative of science. We need to change the way we scientifically test human beings. I won't get into that too much right now. That's a topic we're going to dive into. And then yeah, we got a couple other topics of discussion if we get into that there. So once again, if you guys are interested, you want to pop in the live stream here. I'll throw the link in again. And feel free, guys. If I see you in there, I might just finish the topic that I'm discussing, but I'll bring you in live. But I'm also here to answer any of your kind of questions. So let's look at the chat, see who's in here. As I mentioned, we got A661, or is that an I? I6AS. I'm not sure what that means. Is that like an acronym for something? But he says he's way too shook to come live. How's not doing any drugs doing for you, bro? And have you ever tried a microdose and then go back to bed? Gave me my first lucid dream. So, first question there, how's not doing any drugs doing for you? So, again, I really feel like my life hasn't changed at all. I feel like these substances didn't have any control over me. The only thing is that my sleep has been a little wonky. So, I haven't been able to get to sleep till much later in the night, 2:30, 3:30 some nights. But recently, we actually started, if you guys follow me on Instagram, we started 7 a.m. Zoom workouts with the whole team here. So, again, I run Matt McKeever's YouTube channel. We have a growing media team that I got going on that I run. And then we also have a bunch of wholesalers who are basically like real estate salesmen. And now we go live at 7 a.m. in the morning. So I'm having to wake myself up early, plus doing that workout. Then I'm doing my own workouts like later on, like 2, 3, or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Plus, I'm doing like hikes and walks. So I'm doing around like three serious physical activity during the day. That didn't make any sense. I'm doing like 3 different types of physical activity during the day. So the last couple days, like last night, I was actually getting tired around like midnight, and I went to sleep, I believe like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And my sleep was good, except for these extremely vivid dreams, which I'll get into. And then you also asked A66IA6AS says, have you ever tried a microdose and then go back to bed? Gave me my first lucid dream. Personally, I did not try it late at night. I did try like a larger dose, I think around 3 grams, around like 7 or 8 o'clock one night. And I was like, let's just see how this goes. And it just kept me up all night long. Like I wasn't able to go to sleep while I was on it. So, but I haven't tried a microdose, no. But every time I have been on mushrooms, even if it was a microdose, I never noticed any kind of like tiredness. So that's interesting. Gave you your first lucid dream. We got GG Given in the chat says, do you have a dream journal? Right now, I actually experimented with lucid dreaming for about 2 to 3 weeks in college, where I kept a dream journal. I looked up all the strategies behind lucid dreaming, where you like, before you walk through a doorway, you knock on the doorway. So that way, when you're in a dream and you've built up this habit, you'll actually do that in the dream. Your hand will go through the wall, or you like if you don't like not a digital clock, but if you have like a round ticking clock, whenever you look at it, like look at it again. Because apparently in a dream, if you do that, you look twice at a clock, it'll be at a different time. And that's how you notice when you're lucid. But recently I've not been keeping a dream journal just because I'm very new to this. Like I just stopped the marijuana and these dreams are extremely vivid. So I want to see what's going to happen. And the last couple nights, they haven't been like I haven't been lucid. Like I was aware. Yeah, it wasn't lucid at all. I wasn't aware I was in a dream, but when I woke up, I was like, wow, that was an extremely intense, vivid dream. So we'll cover that in a sec here once we get to everyone in the chat. But yeah, GG Given, if you're going to microdose tonight before you go to sleep, let us know how that goes. I'm interested to hear if you have any lucid experiences with that. Then we have Eric Espinoza. What's going on, brother? He's in the chat. He says, I wonder what would happen if you eat low doses of mushrooms before sleeping. I'm very interested too. I found that, it's hard to go to sleep, but that was on like higher doses. I haven't tried like microdosing or low doses. GG Given says, I've been struggling with having my first lucid dream. Yeah, again, in college when I did the lucid dream experiments, I had to like I would wake up in a dream and it'd be 3 or 4 in the morning, and then I'd go write down my dream, and then I was like, it's hard to get back to sleep. And again, I was in college and I didn't want my sleeping patterns to be messed up because I was studying really hard, kind of, and I was working out very hard, so I wanted to make sure my sleep was on point. But what happened is that I remember, so if you guys know anything about me, I went to school to be a resource drilling and blasting technician. It was a 2-year program in Lindsay, Ontario, an hour or so north of Toronto. And it was an all environmental school. So everyone was like in fishery or forestry. I'm trying to think of all the programs that were there. There was a lot of cool environmental programs. And then we had us drillers in the back who were like destroying the earth, basically. And I had a dream that we were walking to this drilling building that was in the back, and I was like, whoa, something's weird here. And I turned to my buddy who I always walked with to the drilling building, and I was like, something's weird here. And then I looked at the building, and one of my buddies ran out with one of the guys from Sons of Anarchy. I'm not sure if you guys know that TV show or Netflix show with all the biker gangs and stuff. And at that point, I was like, this is not real. That guy's like, why would he be here? And then I look at my buddy and I was like, I don't think this is real, man. And then I look over and then like Inception, and this was before the Inception movie came out, though the dream started crumbling in on itself. Oh no, actually, sorry. I said, this is not real. Looked over, and then another Sons of Anarchy guy like came out of the building, and he like popped on a magic carpet and flew away. And at that point, the whole dream just started like falling in on itself. And I was like, what the hell? So I was like lucid for like half a second to a second, at least in dream time, like what felt like normal time. But it was like that, where I noticed I was lucid and then it started crumbling in on itself. And since then, I have not had a lucid experience. So I'm probably going to go another week or two of experimenting and just allowing my sleep patterns to see what happens for me. But after that, I'm going to start keeping a dream journal, and I'm going to see if I can experiment with lucid dreaming. So I'm really excited for that. Let me know, guys, in the chat here. Have you ever got lucid while dreaming? Ever since I started putting out that I've been having vivid dreams, people have been messaging me on Instagram. I actually know a girl here in London. She's a hairdresser, and shout out to Emma if she's in the chat or watching this later. But she tells me she has like lucid dreams every night, and she can control her dreams like all the time. And another girl that I know, she told me that she has very vivid dreams as well too, like very vivid every night and almost every night lucid. So maybe it's like more for women. I don't know. I want to know. So let me know in the chat, guys. I know you can train yourself to do it, or at least that's what people claim. And I did it for once, so I want to try that again for sure. So we got Render in the chat. BF. Oh, Patel's in the chat. So yeah, actually, I was just mentioning that. Yeah, you've mentioned that you have lucid dreams. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Again, if anyone wants to join in the stream, the link's in the chat there. Feel free. We got A6616AS says, do it, man. Tested it myself. The first, I think this is about microdosing before sleeping. Says, the first time I noticed, I was very aware of my dream and questioned dream characters. So I tried it the next day. Become lucid naturally. People's faces were warping. Wow, that's crazy. And he says, I've been trying for years, took acid to make my first one. Yon Hybrid, what's going on, man? He says, do DMT, bruh. I eventually do want to experiment with DMT and ayahuasca and all that stuff. But as of right now, I'm doing a year completely straight edge as an experiment and a challenge for myself. And right now, holy crap, dreams are very vivid. Like, these are like hallucinogenic experiences. Like, holy crap, we're going to get into some of my dreams here in a sec. Like, I had a dream that I was in Africa and we were about to take a hallucinogenic drug together. And then, like, we looked in this weird direction. I'll get into it in a bit, but it was like, whoa, it was intense. So GG Given says, that sounds amazing. I have around 6 grams left of cubensis. I wonder what will happen if you take a high dose and fall asleep before you start tripping. Yeah, let us know, guys. We got Fernanda Pio. How's it going? She's been following my journey for a while now. Thank you so much for being in the stream here. Says, I think the quality of the webcam was nice too. Yeah, no, this is actually a very good webcam. Logi HD. It's a 1080p webcam. So, ooh, it's really out of focus there. But yeah, if you guys are interested in webcams, I think this is like under $100. Great webcam. But today I'm just experimenting with this. I want to see how this goes. Oh yeah, and quick question, guys. Keep the beard or cut it? I kind of want to trim it, but I got a lot of votes on Instagram for keep it. So we'll check on that on the votes in a sec here. Just want to say what's up to everyone in the chat. We got Misha Maybell. How's it going? Says, affects my sleep when I don't smoke as well. Yeah, like my sleeps have not been like deep feeling. I feel like I'm always like riding the edge of being awake. But I feel I still have normal energy levels throughout the day. So it's very interesting. BF is in the chat, says, have you ever been able to wake yourself up from a dream? No. And that's where I think if like you can control it being lucid, you can wake yourself up. Like, I've been awoken by dreams, and that's what we'll cover in a sec here. Like the 2 dreams I had last night both woke me up. They were very strong dreams. It's crazy. We got Render in the chat, says, look into astral projection or out of body experience. Astral projection, you don't go to sleep. You keep your mind blank and don't move. Relax as much as possible without falling asleep. You get into sleep paralysis, then you will see yourself out of body. I've heard of astral projections. I haven't experimented with it for myself, but maybe this is the year where I experiment with all this astral projections and lucid dreaming. So I keep skipping down a little far. So Render says they are different. Lucid dreaming is different. When astral projection stuff stays stationary like the real world, you can look at the clock and look away, then look back, and it will be the same. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. That's crazy. We got Danny J in the chat, says, have you tried Kratom? So no, I have not tried Kratom. My old roommate, Dylan McLaughlin, shout out to Dylan. I've shot a few videos with him. If you guys go back through my old videos, he did the, what's it called? Let me find it here real quick. It's where you like funnel coffee in your butt. I forgot what it's called. Let me just find it quick here, guys. Because I like when he first told me about it, I was like, what are you even talking about, man? I can't find it right now. But if you guys know what I'm talking about, leave the term for it somewhere below. But yeah, it's where you like funnel coffee into your butt. And I couldn't believe it when he told me this. I was like, that's crazy. But he's actually experimented with Kratom in some of my mushroom videos. When I'm weighing out the mushrooms, there's some white stuff on it, and everyone's like joking around how it's like, oh, you still got some blow left over, and it's like it's the Kratom from Dylan's stuff. I'm still trying to find the name of that, like where you funnel coffee into your butt. Just give me one sec here, guys. Because I had him live here on my channel, and We talked about a bunch of the experiments. Like he talked about kratom and all that kind of stuff that he's done. Shoot, I can't find it, but I'll make sure to throw it in the chat there if I do find it here. Let me share my screen real quick. But yeah, what's going on, guys? Let me know where you're at in the world. Where are you guys all from? There's the live stream. Ooh. We're going to find this video. I need to find this video now that we're talking about it. Oh, coffee enema. That's what it's called. So if you guys want to hear Dylan talk about kratom, the coffee enema experiments. That's what it's called, an enema. But yeah, so he's done kratom. He's experimented with a lot of stuff that I'm not saying is far out there, but it's stuff that I'm not truly interested in experimenting with. And again, this is why I think we need human experiments. I would have loved if Dylan documented that stuff. So instead of just hearing his experience, I could go see what was actually happening to him while he did the kratom experiments or he did the coffee enema experiments. This is why we need people documenting their lives. So let's just pop down to the bottom here, see what's going on. Magic Maiko's in the chat, says, had a high dose of psilocybin experience this weekend, had an explosion of energy. We got Dusty Rice in the chat, gave a laughing emoji. Render says boof. It's called boofing. Oh, coffee boof. Yeah, coffee enema. I didn't know it's called boof. People boof. Is there any other things that people boof or funnel into their butt besides coffee? Fernando Pio says, I watch a channel, Vegetable Police. I think it is a nice channel to run a human experiment. So I have a list of people that I do want to look at and go live here and share with you guys and add them to this database of human experiments that I want to create. And he is actually one of them. He's a fascinating guy. He was vegan for a long time, then went carnivore for a bit. And since then, I haven't been really checking in on him, but he's a fascinating guy. Let me know. Is he back on the vegan or is he still going carnivore? What's up with him? Sproulcaster says, when I had my first lucid dream, I felt like my throat was closing up from excitement. Let me just share this so you guys can see everyone I'm talking about right now. So Yon Hybrid says, how did you handle yourself so well on 10 grams? Honestly, I don't know. I find for myself, like, at least that strain wasn't all that intense for me. But on the 10 grams, I was seeing some shit. So what's fascinating is last night, I'm not sure if you guys saw London Real with David Icke, that interview that actually got pulled down and banned from YouTube. And London Real Brian actually got his LinkedIn pulled down. We're actually going to pop into this video in a bit with him. But this guy's fascinating, and he's done a lot of crazy big interviews. And as you can see, though, they will never ban us again. Digital freedom platform. So he's creating another platform because people like YouTube, or not people, platforms like YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, all this stuff is getting very censored. And he's actually saying in this video, and we're going to dive into it in a bit, but he's saying that if you commented on his YouTube video that now got banned, Facebook is actually labeling you based off that information and is sending you contradictory scientific information to try to change your mind. Isn't that crazy? They say, oh, you watched this thing and we don't want you to believe that thing that you watched. Here's some scientific information that will make you think differently about that thing you just watched. That's concerning, I think, guys. Like, that's crazy. So we're going to dive into this video in a bit here. But I just watched a video last night with Shahir and with another interview with David Icke, Valuetainment YouTube channel. Go check that out. We're about halfway through the interview, but David Icke said some interesting stuff that, right here, like as a human being right now, like, how do I hear anything? Well, it's sounds that are coming into my ears that is turned into an electrical signal that's going into my brain. And now my brain's processing that and hearing that. So does a tree make a noise when it falls in the forest? Well, if there's no one around to experience that, no, it doesn't make a noise because there's nothing there to perceive it. And what he was saying is very fascinating is that, like, Wi-Fi, you can't see Wi-Fi, but we know Wi-Fi is here. The only way we can see Wi-Fi, Like I'm looking at a camera here, there's nothing happening. Nothing's happening. But because I have a screen here, because I have this input that's collecting the Wi-Fi that's going all over this house and that's being beamed into the house, it is now turned into something that I can see and understand and look at. But so what happened? Like, what about other things? Can people who are like mediums or psychics, can they actually see stuff? Are certain hypersensitive people in the world, can they tune into different frequencies? Because that's all Wi-Fi is. The light spectrum, we have a very limited view of the spectrum of wavelengths that we can actually see and comprehend. So when he was saying this stuff, I was like, whoa, that's interesting. Because like on my 10-gram mushroom experience, I felt something present in the room with me. And again, if you guys go watch that 10-gram experience, I felt like a portal like opened. This was me just describing the experience while it was happening to me. I didn't know what was happening. I was just describing it and then reviewing the video after and reviewing my experience over for myself. I felt like a portal opened, a being came through the portal, and this was going through different waves, of course. Like it would go down and be like, okay, there's nothing. But then, you know, I had a trip setter in the room with me. Matt was in the room with me. And then I felt like there was another polarizing presence in the room opposite to Matt. And over time, I felt like it was taking me and showing me things throughout the universe. And again, I probably sound crazy right now, but that's what it felt like on 10 grams of mushrooms. One wave, I was like, man, there's something, feels like something's coming into the room. And then after like another wave was like, I feel like something's in the room here with us. And then another wave later, like 15, 20 minutes later, I felt like I could see little beings and little creatures. Now I couldn't physically actually see something, but I felt it. I felt the presence. And I felt like at one point I was interacting with these little things that were in the room. And can mushrooms do that? Can psychedelics do that? Make you tune into different frequencies? Again, I have no idea. I'm just sharing my experiences here. That's why I'm the Hungarian experiment. I experiment with things and I relay my experiences. Now, to someone who's never had this experience, as David Icke has been saying, or only believes the whole world is solid, there's nothing else out there. Like if someone told someone from the 1800s about Wi-Fi, that there's these things around us and it's transferring information all the time, and all you need is a little device to tune into that information, people would think you're fucking crazy. So yeah, last night, David Icke on the Valuetainment YouTube channel, like me and Shahir were looking at each other like, holy crap. Like we've had experiences like this. Like it's crazy. So how did I handle myself on the 10-gram experience? Well, I believe that I've had so many experiences with mushrooms before that I was very open to whatever was happening, and I kind of understood what's going to happen in regards to like the up and down waves that are going to come, the different like the different visual perceptions that change, like when the walls feel like they're breathing and moving in and out. I believe it's like your eyes and your mind's playing not tricks on you, but the shadows feel like they're being manipulated because it's affecting your vision. So I already knew from past experiences with mushrooms, like, okay, this stuff's going to happen. That thing's going to happen. And again, I've described it as like you're kind of going to the gym. The first time you go to the gym, it's an intense experience. You work out really hard and your body's stressed out, and you probably didn't even work out that hard. But 6 months later, after regularly going to the gym, you can work out so much harder. You can do so much more. And it's not that intense of an experience. And the next day, you're kind of recovered after it. So that's why I feel I was able to handle myself on the 10-gram experience and relay what was happening to me, because I kind of understand what happens with the mushrooms. Now again, for some other people, like I don't suggest hopping into big doses. Take your time. I did microdose for 2.5 months. And then I took like 20 days to a month off. Then I started experimenting with 1 gram, 2 grams, 3 grams, 5 grams, not all in that direct order, but like I was slowly tapering myself up, and I was giving myself significant periods of breaks in between each. So that's what I believe. We got BF in the chat says, sometimes I confuse reality with my past dreams because my dreams can be so realistic that if I have an upsetting dream, it will impact my mood once I wake up. So since we're talking about dreams here, I want to discuss my experience last night. So, you guys probably don't know him. He's a very fascinating guy from Texas, but his name's Evan Stewart. You can find him on Instagram at Real Evan Stewart. I'll show you guys him here real quick. We've actually had him come to Canada here to do some talks for Cashflow Tribe, which is Matt's business with Ben Humble's CEO. He's a very articulate man. He really knows how to talk. At the age of 26, you guys can go see a video on Matt's YouTube channel where Matt interviewed him. He exited a $36 million real estate business that he built himself. So very articulate, very smart man. But I had a dream last night where I was interviewing him for my YouTube channel. And at one point he said something. And again, it felt like we were at like 10 to 20 minutes into this interview because I was asking multiple questions. And at one point I was like, shit, I feel like I ran out of questions here. And then I was like, man, I don't run out of questions. Like, how am I running out of questions? And then he said something weird to me. And then I like woke up. And then I was like, oh my God, I need to implement the things he was saying in this interview into like my optimized course and how I want to promote and bring my optimized course to the world. So after that point, I was like, man, I can't go to sleep right now. I'm thinking. So I believe, and I don't know it because I haven't done it yet, but from what I've understand is that, you know, people say, oh, you can fly in your dreams if you're lucid, or you can have like sex with celebrities and stuff. But what I've also heard is like, you can develop skills and knowledge. You can enhance yourself while you're sleeping and while you're lucid. So after that, I was like, oh my God, I got to remember everything that happened in this dream because like I need to write this down. But it was like 4 o'clock in the morning and I was like, oh my God, I can't get back to sleep right now. So I like made myself go upstairs, get a glass of water. I kind of shook it off and then went back to bed. And then I actually, I went back to sleep and then I had this dream that I was like in Africa and I was like hanging out with this African dude who was like very like native slash aboriginal. Like he was basically naked besides having that little thing that was like covering himself there. And he took me to this place and it was very weird. It was like this huge stone thing that was like kind of sitting above the ground, but like with separate stones. And he's like, this is where we go trip in the darkness in here. I was like, okay, like, let's do it, I guess. And we like go down into this, like going into the tunnel and he's like showing me down the direction. And then we're just talking a bit, like sitting there, like on like sitting in lotus position, just talking about what's going to happen in the experience and how to prepare for it. And then he like shows me over to the ground and there's just this, I don't know, it didn't look like, it just looked like stuff on the ground. And here's like, this is fermenting mango. We eat this. And I was like, okay. And we ate it. And then he showed me down the tunnel again. And then he's like, look in the tunnel. And then all you see is like two other like African dudes were like coming out of the tunnel. And I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And then I woke up again. And I was like, wow, like such a vivid experience. Along with that, I've also had I had a dream where I can't remember who was in the dream with me, but we were driving across North America and we stop at this shop, like just a normal shop, like a store where you'd get like souvenirs, I guess. And Carol Baskin was there, the crazy lady, the crazy cat lady from the Lion, what's it called? That Tiger King, that new Tiger King documentary that's out. Carol Baskin was in my dream and she was actually pretty nice. She was pretty chill. We were just kind of like talking and stuff. I was like, oh my God, I know you. And I just felt so real. I was like, oh my God, that's Carol Baskin. And she was like, hey, what's going on? Hey. And then we just started chatting for a bit. Don't remember too much more of that. That was like a week or so ago. But I've also had like a sex dream. I had a war dream where like fighter jets were like flying really low to the house. And I like, it wasn't here, it was some other house. And I run upstairs and there was a dude in the living room and he was like looking outside like, holy shit. And then you see one of the fighter jets crash. And I was like, yo, we got to get in the basement. This isn't safe. And we went into the basement and then I woke up. So some crazy, crazy vivid dreams I've been having. Holy crap, guys. But just to look some more at the comments here. BF says, I've been lucid dreaming ever since I was a child, can easily control my dreams, fully aware that I am dreaming, can wake myself up from dreams. That's fascinating. I can't wait to potentially get to that kind of point where I can actually like control my dreams, because that's wild. I definitely like want to experiment with lucid dreaming. Again, I'm just gonna allow this to happen to myself for a bit, but after a couple weeks, I'm gonna start keeping a dream journal and everything. Yawn Hybrid says you should do salvia. So I did salvia in high school with my buddies. I'm never doing that experience again. It took me to like a vivid dream experience. So we were sitting in my backyard. It was like a townhouse. So it was a very small little backyard and it was all like cement stone. And I smoked this thing and it tasted like tar. It tasted like asshole. Like it was disgusting. But all of a sudden, the world like went like, in some like when you're watching some movies, it'll go like a little smaller and you can tell something's changing. It went like that, but like my world went circular. And then it went like 180. And then I was sitting there, but then it went down into the ground. And I felt like I was an ant looking at myself and my friends. Like I could see myself in the third person. And my friends, and I don't know if they were actually laughing at me, but from that experience, they were like laughing at me. And I was just saying like, this doesn't make sense. 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 Like that's all I was saying the whole experience. I've done it 2 or 3 times, but really like it's a really harsh experience, at least I feel. It's not like an enjoyable experience. It's not like mushrooms where it's kind of like a challenge. Like it feels good in many ways. Like it felt like bad. It felt like I was doing something really bad to myself. So definitely not doing that again. Yeah, Magic Michael says salvia is disgusting. The poor man's gas station psychedelic. I agree. Like 100%. The poor man's gas station psychedelic. It was gross, man. A6616AS says, speaking on themes of dreams, I remember my dreams almost every night. The most common themes are oceans, water, fighter planes, war, and being chased. Yeah, like this is a whole new experience for me because like I've been smoking weed for like the last 10 years and like, wow, it's been some, like I haven't really had any like real dreams. Like once in a blue moon, I'd say. Like maybe once a month I have a dream, and it's not was never very intense. And then like the last 3 weeks it's been like night after night where I'm like waking up. It's crazy. Misha Mayabel says, I've been able to wake myself from dreaming since I was a child as well. See, this is fascinating. I'm noticing, and I could be wrong, but a lot of women have like intense lucid dream experiences. All right, let's pop down to the bottom here. Yeah, so BF says, how were you able to, like, what action would you have to do in order to wake yourself up? For me, I would have to fall backgrounds. As weird as that sounds, I would have to fall backgrounds. Oh, wow. Eh? So, like, you force yourself to fall to wake up? That's crazy. Render says, you can see yourself in third person from astral projection. It's not scary unless you make it scary. Casper says, sucks and it's awesome at the same time when you dream because it can be scary, but it can be great. Yawn Hybrid says, have I ever experimented with peyote? No, I have not. Backwards. No worries. So again, I'm going to throw the link in here if anyone wants to join. I'm going to switch subjects just a little bit here, but if I see anyone hanging out, I will invite you into the stream. So if you have a webcam, you want to come say hi to everyone, that'd be awesome. Feel free to do so. But as I mentioned, should I cut my beard or not? So we're going to review the poll that I did here on Instagram. Let's take a look. I'm going to peek into my Dropbox here real quick, showing you guys behind the scenes of my all my work. So this was the latest that came in. Out of all the votes, we had 43% said cut it, 57% said keep it. So guys, again, I can't leave the power of my beard to myself. So I had to put this on Instagram, and you guys want me to keep it. Let's see. Of that, we had 44 people said keep it, 33 people said cut it. So I guess we're keeping it, guys. I'm going to let it go for another week or so, maybe just trim it lightly, but we're going to keep it going here. see how intense this beard can get. I feel like it's in a weird stage where it's just getting to a little bit of a length here, so it's getting a little curly, but I feel like after this curly phase here, it's all gonna kind of go straight into a point. So like on the sides here, see how it's like a little curly? But yeah, I think we're keeping it. Misha Maybell says, don't cut the beard. So yeah, we're not gonna cut the beard there. But as I mentioned, guys, I want to do some interesting stuff here with the human experiment. So I've been trying to figure out for a while how I properly do this where I document these people on my YouTube channel, because I've been considering, you know, what I think needs to be done if we want to make this legitimate and scientific is we really need to review people's lives. We need to watch people's lives and create like a sheet that we do. So again, right now I'm just kind of experimenting and testing out the live stream here. I want to like share some YouTube videos and watch them together. So when we watch these videos, I want to know if you guys can hear the videos properly. Do I need to turn up the sound, turn down the sound? Is it too intense? So right now, this guy's not a human experiment. This is just the London Real guy. But this is where he's discussing that they'll never ban us again. And he's discussing how he had his YouTube video pulled down, an interview he did with David Icke, and they banned that video. And anyone who commented on it, Facebook is now labeling those people and sharing counteracting scientific information to that video. So I think it's very concerning, guys. We're heading into a very totalitarian state where, you know, if you watch something and these platforms don't want you to know that stuff or don't believe that you should be trusting it, they will actually share counteracting information, which is scary, guys. Like it's scary. So we'll share this here. Let's watch this. Just give me 1 sec. Whoop, shared the wrong thing. So again, just let me know if you guys can hear this properly, if everything looks good, because this is a test for the human experiment. So I'll have to go watch this video later just to see how it looks. But yeah, let me know here. So give me 1 sec, just setting everything up properly. Ooh, that actually looks kind of good. So I'll zoom out just so everyone can see the title properly and how many views are on it. But yeah, let's hop into this. And again, let me know if you guys can hear the sound good. Facebook, LinkedIn, all this stuff is slowly going to die out because they corrupted themselves. But let's keep going. Can you hear me good here as well too? You guys can't hear the sound. Okay, no sound, no sound. Can't hear it, buddy. All right, so 1 sec here, guys. Let me figure out, because it was working good earlier. Why is this not working now? Can you hear that? Can you hear this now? Still no sound? Yeah, let me know if you guys could hear that last little part. If not, we're not going to be able to do this. And I thought it was working. I did a test with my media team earlier today. Oh, man, it's still not working. Okay. Oh, actually, I know what I did wrong here. Sorry, guys. Let me do this again. My bad. I know what I did wrong. Give me 2 seconds. See, this is why I need to test all this stuff first. There's so many aspects to these things. Chrome tab. Never been us again. Share
audio. Community. All right, this is an exciting day. I've got a big announcement because no longer will our content be banned on the major social media platforms, the Silicon Valley behemoths, and their
can you hear that now,
community
guys?
policies.
Let me know in the chat. Yeah, working now. Okay, awesome. Sorry about that, guys. So we'll start this again here because I know there was a minute or so of no sound. I apologize about that. But let's dive into this here because this is crazy, guys.
All right, this is an exciting day. I've got a big announcement because no longer will our content be banned on the major social media platforms, the Silicon Valley behemoths, and their community policies. That is their version of freedom of speech and freedom of the press. And I'm tired of kowtowing to these trillion-dollar companies on the West Coast of California that are telling me what I can and cannot say. And in order to
go watch the rest of that video. I'm so going to start uploading content to his platform because we need information to be free. We can't be having it censored. Someone mentioned here in the chat, go watch the Out of Shadows doc. Me and Shahir watched it the other night. Crazy stuff. If it's even half true, that's insane. That our media is definitely like controlled. And why would it not be? Why would people not want to control that narrative? So it's fascinating. One thing I always do is I always go pop in the comments. I love to see what people are saying. I like to study like what people think about stuff. So to change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Buckminster Fuller, well done, Brian. That's a game-changing move. I agree. Please let other content creators that are getting suppressed be a part of this. This could get huge. All of my magic mushroom content that got pulled down, you know I'm going to be uploading it to there, just like I'm uploading it to the WeTube. We need to keep this information alive, guys. Like, what's wrong with it? I think the more information, the better. We shouldn't be limiting and censoring stuff. I commend you for not giving to the fear-based propaganda, causing everyone to walk around with masks on in public. The message is out locally. It's already becoming exceptional, like a wildfire. Keep it going, easy peasy. It's fascinating. I love this comment. The Tide Pod challenge is a well-known thing. Hilariously, children eating chemicals potentially poisonous and lethal, but that was okay apparently. But discernment of knowledge from one man must be handled by others before you can view it. You can read between the lines and know they don't want you to know the truths about hidden agendas. And that's it, guys, right there. Like, why are they limiting an interview? Oh, because he said the coronavirus is not a thing, or because of that. Again, there's just some crazy stuff that's going on right now and too much limitation of information. It's getting scary. And what I've mentioned before here, almost everything that I've experimented with on my YouTube channel was at one time controversial. When I started intermittent fasting 8.5 years ago now, there was like very, very limited information about intermittent fasting. I found it in a couple books, and after reading it a couple times, like, hey, I keep like I've come upon this intermittent fasting thing a couple times now, and people are saying it's good, but besides these books, I can't find much information. Then I like continuing to do research. I found like the Hodge twins on YouTube, and they mentioned how they were experimenting with intermittent fasting, and they were jacked. But it was also like, are these guys on steroids? It's hard to tell. And then I started experimenting with it for myself. And I was very concerned in the beginning. For the first year, I was very, very slow with the experimentation. But I found great benefits. And then I started pushing it to its limits. And then I was like, oh my God, I have to spread this knowledge around to others, these amazing benefits. I started looking into scientific studies. I found a study that said, when men fast for 20 to 24 hours, there's a 1,500 to 2,000% increase in their growth hormone levels. And again, if you guys are really interested, go check out my main page on my YouTube channel. That's where I share all this information about intermittent fasting if you guys don't believe it's legitimate. I've done it, again, for myself for the last 8.5 years. But I see someone here in the chat saying like, oh, don't bring in conspiracy theories. Man, fasting would be a conspiracy theory if it could be. But again, here's all the videos where I share all this information. I share scientific studies. I share my own experiments with intermittent fasting. And I've seen nothing but great benefits. But again, that was controversial in the past. I've done oil pulling, stomach vacuums. Stomach vacuums, not so much, but again, not many people were experimenting with it. The oil pulling, growth hormone experiments, everything that I've done has been controversial at one point. So when does something not become controversial? It's when enough people are experimenting with it. So that's what I think. Jan says, I like inhaling air duster. You're crazy, man. Mike Hurl says, mainstream media is shit. I don't believe any of it. I haven't really trusted mainstream media for a long time, besides like basic reporting. Like once they start going deeper into stuff, I'm like, why aren't you looking into other kind of stuff? You know, in the out of the shadows doc, they mention how like, how come mainstream media hasn't looked into the CIA in any like recent times? There's lots of bullshit going on in there, but you know, these major media sources with apparently award-winning journalists don't want to look into that stuff, and it seems like those ones get killed and stuff. Now, I'm not going to dive too much more into like all that kind of stuff and conspiracy theories, but again, London Real Brian, he got his LinkedIn banned. He was on that platform for over 12 years. Just LinkedIn just deleted him. No word, no nothing. All because of an interview he did. It wasn't even him talking. It wasn't even him saying anything. He was interviewing someone who was saying what he wanted to say. So if I brought you guys into the chat and you wanted to say something that is a little questionable, maybe about mushrooms, they just delete you. You're gone. Everything that you've done over those years. Now, luckily, I have hard drives where I'm keeping all that stuff. But like, I've been documenting the last 5 years of my life here on YouTube. That's all legitimacy. And that's what I want to see with the human experiments. With the human experiments, I want to see anyone do whatever they want. Do whatever you want. Let's feature it. Let's show it. Let's discuss it. As long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting others. That's what I think. So speaking of that, and diving deeper into, so speaking of human experiments and diving deeper into scientific research, I'm wrapping up editing a video right now called Red Meat Causes Cancer, Not Good Science. So I want to show a little sneak peek here, just so you guys can have an idea of what's coming, because when this video does come out, I could really use your help with it, guys, because I think I put a lot of work into this video. This is just the rough draft so far, but it shows that
what is going on, world?
Science is weak. Science is very weak. I pull up a point here where it says only 5% of nutrition studies are actually legitimate, good studies, good long-term studies. So that means any kind of social media influencer, any person out there who's saying, oh, you need to eat vegan, or you need to eat carnivore, or you need to eat this food source or that food source. It's bullshit, because we don't have enough long-term studies. And why? Because science is weak. What we do as science is we do these, there's two kinds of science. There's observational science, and then there's randomized trials, like experimental science. So with observational science, they're usually done on huge sample groups and done over long periods of time. So in this video, I break down a study that was done over 18 years, done on 48,000 people. And you know what they did? They gave the people a questionnaire at the beginning of the 18 years, and they filled it out. Oh, like, this is what I do. This is how I eat. Do I smoke? Do I not smoke? And then at the end of 18 years, they gave them another survey. And then they're concluding information from it. It's better than no science. But does that really conclude anything? I break that all down in this video, where I dive heavy into the scientific research. I dive into another study where a guy tested 113 people for 1 month. And that's experimental research. That's not enough to conclude anything long term if red meat can cause cancer 40 years down the line. So what I believe is we need to combine observational research with experimental research into one. But how do you do that? That's what I'm trying to justify with the human experiments. That's what I'm trying to justify with the book that I'm writing right now. The scientific narrative, the story of science, why science is weak and why we need to fix it. I'm also going to make a clickbaity title called Make Science Great Again. But again, I'll show you this little bit here. Let me know real quick, guys. Can you hear this video?
But we can't trust all science. All science is not strong science. There's a lot of...
Can you guys hear that? Let me know. And then we'll dive into this if you can hear it. Yeah, okay, perfect. So right about here,
good quality randomized trials. It is much more common to do research that just observes what people choose to eat undirected, known as observational studies.
Okay, we need to go back just a little bit here. But again, this is a 36-minute video, and it shows that they're like anyone who says red meat causes cancer has no idea what they're talking about. And what I need when I launch this video, I'm going to make a bunch of promo content on Instagram, but and I'm going to tag like a bunch of carnivore guys because like Sean Baker, because I know that they want information to justify their narrative. Now, my narrative, what I'm saying is just the science is weak. But I believe if I share this video and he sees this video, or a bunch of other carnivore advocates see this video, that red meat causes cancer is not good science, they'll look into it. So when I post this stuff, when I post this video on YouTube, and when I post this stuff on Instagram, I really need your guys' help to help it get as much attention as it can. Tag some carnivore guys that you know. Tag anyone that you believe supports red meat, because it shows that like we don't know. We just don't know. And again, this is the part where we discuss that only 5% of studies are large, good
randomized trials. I want to say that again here. According to one estimate, only about 5% of nutrition studies are large, good quality randomized trials. It is much more common to do research that just observes what people choose to eat undirected, known as observational studies. These are notoriously open to bias and can give misleading results. And right now I'm actually writing a book called Why Science is Weak and Why We Need to Fix It: The Scientific Narrative, the Story of Science. And I have a whole chapter dedicated to red meat and all these studies where I go into a lot more detail. And I break down why observational science is very weak. We're going to lightly touch on it in this video here.
So guys, get ready, because I got another hour or two of editing to go on this. Like, as you can see here, a 33-minute video, and I've already put like 4 to 5 hours of editing into it. And, you know, some of the videos I like just discuss myself, like in one of my last videos, which we'll cover here in a sec, the ego. I've got a big ego, where I went for a walk and I was like, you know, I need to talk about this. That stuff is rather easy to edit. But like stuff like this, the stuff that I truly care about and I'm passionate about, it doesn't seem to do well because it's heavy science. It's heavily loaded with science. But when this video comes out, I could really use your help, guys. Just promoting it, getting it the attention that I believe it deserves. Again, I still have to put like another hour or two of editing into it. I've already spent like 4 to 5 hours of editing it, plus the hour to hour and a half it took me to shoot this, and going through all this different scientific research to show that science is weak, guys. But another thing I want to show here, because if you see in that chapter of my book, I say bias in science, government funding, and corruption. So as I mentioned there was a study done on 113 people. We can see this here. Let me just make this a little bigger for you guys. So for the study, researchers enrolled 113 healthy men and women in a clinical trial to examine the effects of dietary protein, blah, 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 blah. And they found red meat for that 1 month that they tested had an increase in these TMAO levels. Now, no one really knows what TMAO actually does, if it's actually good or bad. It's something that's been left in our body since like way back in our evolution, back when we were still like marine, like living in the ocean and stuff. Like this stuff is left over in our bodies. So what this guy did, this Stanley L. Hazen guy here, he's a medical doctor, PhD. He, as you can see here, it suggests that you can lower your heart disease risk by lowering TMAO. Okay, it seems, you know, but what we find out a little bit later is that, and this is where I believe there's some bias in this, that the TMAO measurement is currently available as a quick, simple blood test that was first developed by his laboratory. So he created the thing that can test you to see what your TMAO levels are. And now he's saying, oh, no, you got to lower yourself down with this. And as you can also see here, in recent published studies, he and his colleagues reported development of a new class of drugs that are capable of lowering TMAO levels in the blood. So the guy who's creating scientific studies saying that you need to lower your TMAO levels created the thing that tests TMAO, and also is creating a drug to lower TMAO in your body. What? Like that there's some bias there. And I lightly covered it here. This is the part that I'm still editing, because this is the part from my book. But you can see here, like I'm overlaying this from the actual study. But the Lerner Research Institute, which is Stanley Hazen's thing, in the study of microbiome's role in heart disease and was recently awarded more than $12 million from the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute to pursue further studies. He has an incentive, like a huge bias here. He has a team of 36 people. He has people's lives and careers in mind. He needs to justify and create more research to justify more money coming into his laboratory. Now, again, maybe he's on to some amazing, great discovery here. But what if he's wrong? And what you also see is he's telling people to reduce their red meat intake. And in a recent Q&A, where I featured the article from the beginning that says red meat does not cause cancer, there's no good science that shows it. He says, according to most scientific studies, which only 5% is good, most scientific studies, people who eat more red meat have a higher risk of heart disease. Even though I'm begrudgingly a meat lover, I advise people to reduce their heart risk by eating less meat. So the guy who has a bias is creating a drug to lower TMAO levels in your body, who's saying you should stop eating so much red meat because it affects your heart, continues to eat red meat. This is what happens when people aren't passionate about science. You see an article that says, you need to lower your red meat intake because this one guy who did a test on 113 people for 1 month found that it increases this level in your body that he discovered and he's creating a drug for. Like, it's insane to me. And along with that, there's just so much weak science out there that by the end of this video, you see, like, we can't conclude anything in regards to nutrition because there's just not enough conclusive information out there. And we won't know if we continue doing this weak type of science with nutrition. Now, in my book, Why Science is Weak and Why We Need to Fix It, I show that there's great, strong science. Like when you map the stars, 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, those stars are going to be in the same place. There's other types of scientific information that is strong science, like physics. Physics does not change. It's concrete. It's never going to change. But when you study things like nutrition, there's lots of factors that can affect it. So it's ridiculous. And I don't see anyone out there in the world who's saying like, whoa. Like everyone's just so attached to their narrative that they're just trying to find give me science that supports my side. I'm a carnivore, so I want all the science that shows me that carnivore is good. But when you actually look at every scientific study, it says we need further testing. This is a weak recommendation. And what they do is compile all this weak recommendation and try to say, okay, now that we've compiled a whole bunch of weak stuff, it's strong now. It's insane to me. I can't believe it. And like back when I was like 20 years old, 21, 22, and I was heavily researching scientific information, I was like, this is weak. Like we need to change the way we do scientific testing. But as you see there's big money in this stuff. $12 million he got last year. He got in November of 2019 after a study that came out saying it's almost ridiculous to study this stuff. But we're pumping money into this. It's ridiculous. So A6616AS says, bro, you need to make your own Reddit page. So this is why I've realized, like, this is why I started my YouTube journey. At 25 years old, I started documenting my life as a human experiment because I realized at 21 and 22 that like science is weak and we need to change it. But then I thought for like a long time, I was like, how do we change science? How do we challenge this narrative? How do we make science stronger? And again, I think you take observational studies and you take randomized trials and you combine them together. So what I believe is we get 1,000 human experiments, 1,000 people who are documenting their lives on YouTube, where we can see the foods they eat, the times they eat them at, all the other factors that affect their life. What physical activity are they doing? Where do they live in the world? How do they live? You know, everything that affects them as human beings. Then we test them weekly. We do blood testing, brain scans, hormone testing, as much testing as we can do. And then we compile all that information. We start collecting this. So if we had that on me, if we had weekly blood, hormone, and brain scans done on me for the last 5 years, while I was doing things like my calorie manipulation experiments, while I started doing the neurohacking experiments, while I started doing the magic mushroom experiments, it's like, oh man, we noticed during the year and a half that Peter was taking mushrooms, we saw an increase in this in his blood. Or we can clearly see this change in his brain scans. And then we have 1,000 other people who are doing the same thing, and we compare it all the way across. So then we take, okay, let's see out of the 1,000 human experiments we have, let's see all the intermittent fasters. Okay, there was 300 of the 1,000 people who were intermittent fasters. Now let's see all the intermittent fasters who were also vegetarian or vegan. And we can you can start deducing a lot more information. Now, again, there's still weakness to it. There's still lots of flaws with it. But I believe we can draw more conclusive information. Now, we would have to test people almost their whole lives. But that's what we need. That's what we need to improve science. And without it, we're just going to keep playing these stupid little games. Oh, here's a study. Oh, here's another study. Oh, here's 12 million for you for your biased approach to your study. It's always going to happen until we change it. We need to challenge our current scientific narrative. So that's what I feel like my mission is. That's what I feel like I'm here to do over the next 10 years is challenge science. So guys, when this red meat video comes out, I could really use your help. When I promote it on Instagram, when I promote it on Facebook, tag any carnivore person you need, because I'm going to try to make it real clickbaity. I'm going to make it like on Instagram. It's going to say some stuff like, again, this is a 36-minute video. I'm going to make a 1-minute little snippet, and it's going to slide in red meat causes cancer at the top in the title. And then it's going to go, not good science. So when these guys see it, they're going to be like, woo, here's some information for me to use. And then they're going to hopefully go see the video or just share that. And that's what's going to start getting this attention. We need to bring attention to how weak science is. And again, that's the only way I feel we're going to fix this. And again, I feel like this is my mission right now. I've dedicated the next 10 years of my life to challenging science. The last 5 years of my life, I've been a human experiment. I've been documenting my life, representing what I feel it means to be a human experiment. But right now, I can't do both. I can't challenge science and continue to be a human experiment. There's too much that needs from both. I'm going to continue documenting my life as much as I can while doing all this other stuff. But if you guys saw that from that video, it's taken me 5 to 6 hours to edit that video. And I still need another hour or two to do. So, and I'm writing this book to justify the human experiments. That's heavily referenced, heavily cited. And again, I'll show you guys a little sneak peek because we're getting back on it actually this week. Shout out to Summer and Casey if you guys are potentially watching this. But here we're going to scroll through my downloads again so you guys can see all the crazy stuff that goes on in here. But I've realized that, this book on science is not going to be all that entertaining for people. People are going to start reading and be like, oh my God, this is kind of boring. Because I'm just challenging science. I'm trying to make it engaging as possible by sharing myself and sharing why I wrote it. But we're going to turn it into a cool graphic design where it's the pages kind of flow into each other and it's just going to look really cool. So basically, when I make this book, right now I've spent, I'm going to be putting a couple $1,000s into making this a really cool design for you guys. But I'm just going to put it out there for $5 so anyone can buy. Because I want this information out there in the world. But again, we're going to make it all cool. It's going to have all these crazy designs in it where things kind of pop out of the book. But yeah, that's the start of it, guys. So get ready. The scientific narrative is coming very soon. I shared this in my last live stream, where we discussed how, are you aware that less than 400 years ago, 100 years after Christopher Columbus sailed across the ocean to colonize the Americas, we as a collective of human beings still believe that blood was continually produced by the liver and not circulated the body by the heart. Yeah. Less than 400 years ago, we still did not understand how blood flowed around the human body. 400 years ago. That's not that long. So it's kind of crazy. I'm trying to make science fun. I'm trying to make people realize we need to look deeper into this stuff because there's just not enough information there. So thank you guys for everyone in the chat right now saying this stuff's interesting. I hope so, because, you know, with the human experiments, I think it's a very boring concept, but I'm going to try to make it fun. I'm going to try to include you guys into it. So like I said, in the coming weeks here, once we finish this book, I'm going to do live streams like this where it's just a show dedicated to the human experiment of that day. So right now there's a guy who's in the UK, Jason Brigman, I think is his name. And he's been documenting himself going from a natural to like a professional bodybuilder. He showed, I think he had to pull the video down, unfortunately, which is bullshit. But when I was watching him a couple years back, he showed his first steroid injection, and he's taking you through the process, and he's very good as a human experiment. He's regularly getting his own blood test and blood work done, which is not cheap, guys. There's a lot of stuff to this. When I got hormone testing done to see what my hormones were like, it was expensive stuff. $177 for each test. And if I wanted to make it scientific, I had to do it weekly. Plus, I had to pay for the naturopathic doctor I had to go visit. So after doing 3 weeks of testing, I was paying like $600 to $700. And when me back then, I was a server at a restaurant who was just going to the gym and had a YouTube channel, like that was a lot of money to come out of my own pocket. Now, I'm not asking for money to test myself right now, but I believe we need to bring funding to this. So we need to make science fun. We need to create like a whole show around this. So again, I'm going to create like a Google Doc that you guys can download and actually fill out. So that way we can like rate human experiments together live on the internet. It's going to be crazy stuff. So get ready. My goal is to like have that out before the end of 2020 here. Again, wrapping up the book in the next month or so. Then we're going to turn into a cool graphic, which we're starting back up on in the next week or so here. So it should be, human experiments are coming very soon, guys. I'm really excited about this. So Smokey says, the more knowledge you acquire about subjects will help you articulate sentences much easier. I love reading. I love researching. Just speaking out loud comes out either dumb or in bits. I'm starting to think it's the weed I constantly smoke. Viking Pup Wayne, what's going on, man? Appreciate you being in the chat here. Said, good, man. I went down the rabbit hole when I started the keto diet. Yeah, I loved like diving into new things and figuring it all out. Again, I'll share my screen here just so we can see everyone who's in the chat. Young Hybrid says, Yawn Hybrid says, when was your first time taking mushrooms and how do your parents feel about it? So, never met my real dad. My mom came to Canada when she was pregnant with me. And she married my stepdad when I was like 2 or 3 years old and had my sister. Now, my stepdad was very, I don't know, he didn't like weed and all that kind of stuff. He was very against me doing that kind of stuff. My mom was very young when she had me, so she was heavily influenced by what other people told her. So at the beginning, she's like, no, don't do that stuff. It's very bad. And I got disciplined for smoking weed. But I eventually turned her onto weed. And then, so ever since then, and all the crazy stuff that I've documented and sharing my life on the internet, she's very open to the things that I do. So I was sharing my experiences with mushrooms on the YouTube. So she had to deal with it. So she's cool with it. 86616AS says, bro, me and you, let's change the scientific world. I'm doing it no matter what. So I'm challenging science. So someone's going to have to kill me or I'm going to have to die in the next 10 years for me not to change the scientific world. And I need as much support with it as I can, guys. So if you guys are interested in this stuff, you want to see science improve, I'd really appreciate your support with it. Become a human experiment. Start documenting your life right now. Start sharing the factors in your life and the things that you do. And the more people we have like this, I think there's already great YouTubers who are human experiments and don't even really know it because they're just trying to, get famous on YouTube and stuff. That just vlog their life as a bodybuilder or a deadlifter or, I think Fernando Pio mentioned earlier here, the, what's his name? Vegetable Police. He was the guy who was vegan for so long, then went carnivore and found amazing benefits with it. So there's people out there who are just experimenting with themselves. And I think they're great examples of human experiments. And those are the people in the coming months we're going to watch live together. So yeah, get ready, guys. You want to change the scientific world? Let's do it. Misha Mayabel says, using the basics of science to manipulate the masses for money gain. Awesome. Well, that was my crazy rant here for today. Really appreciate it. Zio Longren says throwing your life away. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's a waste of my time. Zio Longron says mainstream science is controlled, my friend. You will not change the perception of a global mass. They control information, therefore control perception. How about teaching truth so people can see it? Well, that's what I mean. Like, or did I miss something here? But yeah, so maybe I am wasting my time, but again, I think I'll work my way into it. This is why I discussed in a recent vlog that I'm going to stop talking about a lot of my other goals and aspirations for the future, because I think people will try to stop that narrative. So for the most part, I'm really reserving myself in a lot of the things that I'm discussing. And I'm realizing more and more every day, if I want to bring certain things into fruition, I have to pull back on it. And I'm putting out so much information that when I get to the point where I'm actually starting to challenge things and change things, like, I'm not going to completely change science. There's still going to be observational studies. There's still going to be randomized experimental studies out there in the world, but I'm going to justify why we need even more, why we need more conclusive studies. And people will try to control it on me. But what I think as well, too, is we actually need the public involved in scientific studies. So that's why I want to make like a Netflix out of human experiments, basically, where there's like a human experiment show where we review all these crazy people in the world who are doing all these crazy experiments on themselves. And then we have these separate docuseries dedicated to these people. And it's kind of like Big Brother, but instead of like a house, we're popping into these people's lives all over the world. And we're seeing what they're up to and what they're doing. So if anyone watched Out of the Shadows, everyone understands like the media controls everything, right? And that they want to entertain people and just keep people kind of not aware of stuff. So human experiments is going to be entertainment as much as it is science. And my goal is to get people to get the public to fund the experiments they want to see the human experiments doing. So I'll say, all right, here's 3 to 5 different experiments I want to see happen. I want to see people who have never done intermittent fasting do intermittent fasting. I want to see people who've never done mushrooms to do mushrooms. And if they're human experiments, that they can participate in it and that they could get featured on this show, or that they could get potentially more attention for their own YouTube channel, for their own journeys. So there's a lot of stuff behind it, but I've got some interesting plans coming. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's like, I realized that at a young age, like, this is what I want to do with my life. And nothing's really going to stop me from getting there because I don't know. I want to do it. So Zio Longren says, how about trying to talk about the truth behind our existence? I like your work. I love your work nonetheless. Full blown ego death, right? Well, like, how much can I discuss that? What, like, I don't know. I always focus on things I'm passionate about. If I don't do stuff that I'm passionate about, I'd rather not do it. So if I'm going to be limited in a way, I'd rather not do it. But speaking of that, Zio Longren says, let's talk about full-blown ego death. How about talking about the truth behind our existence? I actually just put out a video about this, talking about ego, talking about I've got a big ego. Look at that. Look at that big ass head. I've got a big ego. What is ego and where did it come from? So if you guys haven't seen this, make sure you guys go check it out, because I discuss the concept of ego, why we have an ego, where the ego came from. Again, I'm not going to dive into it here. It's an 18-minute long video, but I believe the ego was developed when we developed the ability as humans to perceive time. I regularly ask people when I really start to get to know them, we start getting into deep discussions, what separates us from the animals? And I get some interesting questions here, answers here and there, but I've never found anyone justify their theory as well as Leonard Shlain does in his book, Sex, Time, and Power. Let me see if I can pull that one up here real quick. I'm holding the book in the video, but he believes it's when again, we were our ancient ancestors. We were still evolving from the apes, probably more humanoid at this point, like Neanderthal kind of deal in between that area. But where women started to notice that their menstrual cycles was on a cycle, and it was like synced up with the moon, and that when they conceived a child, that their menstrual cycles would stop. So that they have this regular thing happening to them every month, and then it stops. And then 9 months later, something comes out of them, a human being. Now, it took a long time for them to develop this thing and this ability to perceive time, but they started to realize, holy shit, like there's this weird thing going on here called time. And that is what actually developed the ego. When men started to gain the ability of time, they realized that women had all the power. Women have this amazing ability to have a child and know that that's their child, where we as men don't. So when we started to develop the ability to perceive time, and we started to see, holy shit, that's my child, because I was the only one to have slept with this woman. And now she's had that being. That we as men might want to call it patriarchy or whatever. It's just a natural thing that happened to us. But we started to get more controlling. We wanted to create our own legacy because we didn't have power that the women have. Amazing power and abilities. To have a human being, to give life, that's so powerful. And we as men realized we don't have that. We never had anything that powerful. So we started to create things like legacy, to give ourselves names, so that way we could pass our name down through the legacy, through the lineage of us. We started to, create rules and laws and govern and all that kind of stuff. Agriculture developed from the ability to perceive time. Civilization developed and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't dive into that in this video, but I talked about ego and where it came from and what is the ego and how to optimize your ego. Because I believe as human beings, again, if ego comes from time, you'll never lose your ego completely, because you can't. We as human beings have this ability to perceive time now. It's just always going to be here. So get over it, learn and understand that your ego's there, but use your ego to optimize yourself, to make yourself better as a human being, to optimize your mind, your body, your hormones, and your lifestyle, and then to provide value to others. So someone commented, and this is why I made this video, is that, oh, you document your life on YouTube. Everything you do is egotistical. Well, obviously, because we're human. And I'm documenting my life, so that everything is going to be egotistical about it. But am I using my ego only to benefit myself? Or am I realizing, like, look, I have to be aware of this thing, that I can perceive time and that these thoughts come in and out. So I actually want to dive into a comment here because someone left a great comment and I haven't seen them in the chat yet, but I wanted to answer it here. I was waiting for them to pop in. So Cyro says, hi, He, awesome video. Can you explain better the concept of living and being present? Because I think that is a problem that many of us, including me, struggle with, and it would be very helpful, especially in this quarantine situation. Greetings from Italy. So what I discussed there is that from the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, is that ego, again, is your mind being controlled by your self-identity, your thoughts. Now, thoughts are going to come and go. It's whether you take action on those thoughts. And what I said is that, if you see a thought come in and you realize that it doesn't optimize you or benefit others, let it pass, let it go. Try to live and be as present as possible. Live in the moment. Now, if Cyro, if you're watching this later, definitely go read this book, The Power of Now, because I'm still succumbed by my thoughts. But living and being present as possible is trying not to stay in the future or the past. Now, what I explained in this video is like me being a video editor, like me being a content creator for myself and Matt's channel. I'm always in the future or in the past. I'm looking at, okay, we got to make this video. We want to say this thing. How do we say it the best way? How do we make the audience, like even right now, I'm considering, how do I articulate myself properly so that you guys are aware of the thoughts that are in my head and understand it? So I'm right now in the future, and in the past and being like, hey, I just said that thing. Did it make sense? Is it working? But after this, I'm going to take some time to myself. I might go for a walk and not be so in my head and try to be aware of my thoughts and my feelings. And when they come, see it. Just allow it to happen. When you're watching a movie or you're scrolling through social media and you think, oh, look at that guy. What a douche. See that thought. Let it sit there for a sec. Be like, wow, why do I even think that? Who programmed me to think that when I see this person that this is a douchey person? What is a douche? What does this mean? That's how you become more present. You start to be aware of your thoughts rather than being controlled by them. Now, thoughts come and go, and I'm actually working on a video right now for YouTube as well as for my optimized course being called like thoughts happen to you. You can't, like, again, being a human being, dealing with time, these thoughts, these things are going to come. It's whether you take action on them, whether you let them to control you. Right now, I'm seeing so many people dominated by their ego because I go on social media and I see them saying, you know what? These persons are outside. They're not social distancing. Or look at all these people. They're making it worse for everyone. Everyone is so judgy right now. Everyone's judging each other. But are they stepping back from that and being like, I'm judging these people? I don't think so. So a lot of those people are living in their ego. They're living in the past. They're judging people. And then, they're judging people, then posting on social media, then getting likes from it, then going back to that post and being like, haha, yeah, reaffirming that thing that I thought 5 hours ago. Like, it's so ego driven. So again, the best thing you can do is, try to optimize yourself as much as possible. Try to, be aware of your thoughts and feelings. Educate yourself, inform yourself, and don't identify with that stuff. Don't identify with the books you read and the knowledge you gain. Just be aware of it. Be like, every time I try to say something, I say a theory that I believe that is definitely not mine. The only thing that I think that I've come up with right now is the human experiments. But everything I discuss, if you guys see there, when I showed that I've got a big ego video, I'm just showing books. I'm showing where I've gotten these theories and ideas from. I share Sex, Time, and Power. That's where I got this concept of time and our ability to perceive it, and the ego, the power of now. I reference that book. I reference when I mentioned that we as humans are driven by power. It's because I got these theories from the 48 Laws of Power and Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. They're not my ideas. They're not my theories, but it's the most plausible theory that I believe because I haven't seen anything that contradicts it in a more justifiable way. So that's how I believe, going back to Cyro here asking, can you explain better the concept of living and being present? I hope that answers it. You just got to try as much as you can and, read books like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, because they will help you along your path to realize when your thoughts are dominating and controlling you. Yeah, Zio Longren says, don't think, feel. So was that a little better for you, man? You like that stuff a little better? Because I try to help people as much as possible, but I can, I'm very passionate about certain things, and I want to show why science is weak and how we can try to fix it. So hopefully that answers your question there. Yeah, you need trust and skepticism and balance. Being not trustworthy to the extreme is bad for your mental health. 100%. That's where I see a lot of people on social media right now who are so gun-ho on well, this is definitely a virus and everyone should stay home and this is this and that. And then I see some people who are dude, it's all a conspiracy, 100% a conspiracy. I'm just looking at all this information and I love how Joe Rogan says it. When he talks about aliens, it's I don't know. It's possible until I see one, until we have proof. It's just who knows really? So I try not to identify with any of these thoughts, with any of these ideas or these theories. Now, the more these thoughts and things come back to you, you got to give it some weight. You got to consider it. But again, step back from it. Try to step back from your thoughts. All right, we got some great comments coming in here, guys, but we're about an hour and 32 minutes into the live stream. Really appreciate everyone being in here. We covered a lot of the stuff I wanted to do today. As I mentioned, I had a little notes of discussion for this. If you guys like this, if you guys liked hanging out with the Hungarian, let me know in the comment section below if you're watching this later or if you're in the chat right now. If you guys are watching this and you guys enjoy this, I'd love if you go smash that like button. If you're not subscribed to me, I'd really appreciate a subscribe. And just remember, guys, I really need your help when this red meat causes cancer is a not good science video comes out on social media as well as on YouTube, because I'm putting a lot of effort into it. And it's stuff that I'm truly passionate about. And if we want to, challenge science together, we need to work together on this. So really appreciate everyone being in the chat here. We got Raw, Redding and Willing, Zio Longren. I hope I'm saying that right. We got H7 Apollo, A6616AS was here the whole time. Really appreciate you. We got Misha Mailbell, BF, Viking, Pup Wayne. Really appreciate everyone being in the chat here today and hanging out with the Hungarians. So I'll see you guys next week for another one. And yeah, truly appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am the Hungarian Experiment.